Cognitive science has provided good evidence that human mind is dualist by nature. Dualist means that our mind regards itself, the consciousness, not as a complete product of our brain and somehow separate from the body, whereas a monist thinks, on the contrary, that the mind is a complete product of the activity of the brain. Cognitive science explains the birth of the human mind in evolutionary terms according to a monist perspective, but children are native dualists, and in fact it takes time and education to become a monist. We have also evidence that human mind tends to see the world in terms of design and purpose. The assignment of purpose to everything is called teleology. Children are native teleologists. Evolution, on the contrary, is a purposeless process whose products, nonetheless, appear to be designed, because they are actually well adapted to their environment. So here we have a paradox. Evolution has endowed man with a native dualist and teleological mind which predisposes us to religious belief about supernatural entities that supposedly have created the universe, including life and humanity, and to misunderstand this way the real process that generated life on this planet, including us. In other words, theory of evolution appears to be intrinsically counterintuitive to human minds. Evolution has also endowed man with a particular complex form of consciousness and language, which are the things that make us different more than anything else from all other living creatures. Of course, we are not the only species to possess awareness and language. We know, for example, that a lot of primates possess this ability too, and a lot of other animals have developed complex languages. But as far as I know, we are the only species able to use language to describe and investigate language itself. We have invented, in fact, grammar and meta-language, and in a similar way we are the only species that is able to use consciousness to wonder about itself. We have invented religion, philosophy, and quite recently cognitive science. This generates another more important paradox. Differently from all other animals, man cannot simply live his life using only instincts. He must provide his life with a meaning. A baby chimpanzee, for example, is born to become an adult chimpanzee. A human baby must learn, so to speak, how to become an adult. As we have said before, we are born with a teleological mind that tries to find a meaning to everything. It is inevitable that it will soon begin to wonder about itself and its own meaning.
Who am I?
Who am I? Why sometimes I feel imprisoned within my body? Where do I really come from? What shall I do of my life? What will it be of me one day? What it is death, my death? And what about the beloved ones I already lost? These are questions that create a void inside us, a void which demands to be filled by a meaning. Giving a meaning to our life is the greatest responsibility we have, and a great opportunity too. In fact, this means that we certainly have free will, and it is us that build our future, both as a species and as individuals. No god can create an Armageddon, but we, as a species, could do it. And if this will happen one day, no god will be able to give the earth back to us as it was before, so full of life and beauty. the other hand, we cannot turn this planet into a heaven, where lions will not eat lambs, but we can certainly make it a better place little by little. Moreover, our complex societies are the product of the faculty, the talent, the power, the gift of every single individual to give meaning to her or his own life. Every one of us is not born engineer or teacher or doctor or whatever of the thousands of different roles every society needs to keep on living and sustain itself. Finding and building our social role is an important part of our personality, seeking the meaning of itself, building its own identity. Love, of course, is the other major component of this search.
Who am I?
Religion is an attempt to answer the fundamental questions about the meaning of life. And I think we can classify religions on the basis of the quality of the answers they provide into two major categories: the authoritarian ones and the humanistic ones. The major distinguishing feature of authoritarian religion is indoctrination of the children, which offers them, among other things, a moral code and values shared by the social group of the adults they belong to. This means that religion provides the children with a social identity, usually according to the taste of the parents. But this social identity is a terrible illusion. Authoritarian religion, in fact, encourages the natural tendency of children to conformity and obedience to authority. In fact, indoctrination aim is not the good development of individuals or human societies, but only the propagation and conservation of the God virus. And once children will have reached an age in which they will begin to investigate about their own mind and consciousness, authoritarian religion will protect itself by inhibiting critical thinking and reason and preventing the believers from really wondering about themselves and life. Indoctrination, therefore, is the most powerful tool that authoritarian religions use in order to propagate themselves, and is more effective if it starts as soon as children master the ability to speak and continues up to the point they will have completed the formation of their own personalities. Of course, the final product of indoctrination will not be a free man, but a human being subjected and submitted to powerful concepts which will dominate him, like God or gods or other supernatural entities, or even superhuman entities, like a nation or a blood race or a political leader or any other kind of ideology. I put authoritarian regimes together with authoritarian religions because they share the propensity to use the same mechanism in order to transform human beings into obeying sheep rather than responsible individuals. That should be, I think, the major reason why labeling a child as a Catholic or Muslim is wrong, because it sounds like indoctrination. But labeling a child as atheist is even wronger. Atheism, at least for me, it cannot be simply the lack of belief in God or gods or in any other supernatural entity, We know that our native mind predisposes us to religion given the right condition, in particular indoctrination, but atheism should be the result of critical thinking, reason and humanism instead. But all these things are closely related to each other only when a human mind has reached a certain level of development, that is, when it will have begun to wonder about itself, to use philosophy, so to speak. In other words, atheism is the answer to our spiritual search to give a meaning to our life, but in doing so, we have valued truth and humanity as something more important than our wishful thinking. So atheism, real atheism, cannot be indoctrinated because it requires the full potentiality of the single individual. But you may say that communist children were indoctrinated to be atheist. I can only reply by saying that they were indoctrinated to be good, obedient communists instead, to believe in the superhuman intervention by the totalitarian state that dominated them. Humanistic atheism, on the contrary, rejects any form of indoctrination. That is why you cannot label a child as an atheist. Now, what about humanistic religions? Buddhism, Taoism, the teachings of Socrates are examples of humanistic religions. But the teaching of Jesus are humanistic religion too. And in the next video I will face the problem of indoctrination according to Jesus. Our starting point will be this beautiful saying. Jesus said, "The man olden days will not hesitate to ask a small child 7 days old about the place of life, and he will live. For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same." We'll deal with the interpretation of this saying in the next video. Thank you for watching.
And finally, 4, some sense of transcendency, something beyond you. Now, religion claims this as their monopoly, their exclusive rights to the idea of being spiritually fulfilled. This is nonsense. The religious worldview is so small, so medieval, and it's just tiny little proscenium right here, the stage on earth of which we're acting out this drama just for some grand life to come. No, that's not what counts. What counts is the here and now. If there is no afterlife, if there is no God, how important it is now what you do. Now is what it counts. Your relationships with other people now is what counts and matters. Not so you can chalk up some points for the next life, to get a bonus and move up the ranks into some special country club on high. No, what you do now matters.